Hello friends, I'm delighted to welcome you to this webinar on how to use E2Tally Soft. In this webinar, we will provide an overview of the key features of E2Tally Soft. Let me share my screen and we'll get started. The primary perspective of my presentation is to practically show you how you can use the software to actually enhance your productivity by automating all your accounting services. I hope you're able to see my screen. As I said, the objective of this webinar is to provide you an overview of how to automate accounting by importing masters or vouchers from MS Excel to Tally in a few clicks. I am CA Abdul Rafiq, Managing Director of Windsor Infotech Limited. This is a vision of a company. We are a global leading solution provider in data analytics for empowering professionals by applying thought to technology. We primarily believe as chartered accountants, we are intellectuals. We should know how to use our knowledge as a capital and use automation as a tool to enhance our productivity. Our mission is to revolutionize assurance, compliance, and consulting services by providing powerful tools and techniques for performing data analytics, BI, and AI. We are especially focused on providing solutions, especially innovative solutions for chartered accountants and CXOs and CIOs. This is a strategy we wish to adopt. As I said, we believe in developing innovative software solutions so that we can empower CAs and CXOs to harness the power of technology so that you can leverage your subject matter expertise and accelerate your progress in your career. Now let's come directly to the problem statement. What are we looking at? You know that Tally is the most popular software in India. Now, the advantage of Tally is it's very easy to use and very simple to learn. But every master has to be created in Tally and data entry has to be done in Tally, and that requires understanding of accounting and understanding how Tally works, which means you need to have the expertise to be able to use Tally. Now, the question is, when manually data entry is being done in Tally, it definitely requires time. Similarly, when you find you are exporting data from Tally, it takes time to export the data. And probably quite often you find the data is not in the required format. Now, the challenge is, can we have a standard format in which you can export the data so that we can perform analysis as required? This is where we provide our solution called as E2Tally Soft or Excel2Tally Soft. What is E2Tally Soft? It is an automated solution. It's an add-in software to MS Excel for importing masters and transactions of accounting, inventory, and cost centers from MS Excel to Tally in a few clicks. I'm going to show you the powerful features of how you can import the masters. You can create hundreds of masters. For example, you're starting a new company, you want to create the complete chart of accounts, or you're importing, let's say, data from another company to this company. You can import the complete chart of accounts from Excel template to Tally in a few clicks. Plus, you may have hundreds of thousands of transactions. You have the data in a structured format. You can import this into Tally in a few minutes. What does E2Tally Soft do? It's an automated conversion tool for importing the information of the masters and the data from MS Excel to Tally in a few clicks. Now let's look at some of the key questions and answers pertaining to E2Tally Soft. Why do we need to use the software? It supplements the powerful features of Tally with the simplicity of Excel. You can import to and from Tally, and this could be hundreds or thousands of transactions, and all this can be done in a few seconds to a few minutes. Who could use this software? Any user of Tally software, whether you're an accounting business process owner or an assurance professional or a compliance professional, you can use E2Tally Soft. How do you use it? It's very, very simple. It's very intuitive to learn. It follows the simplicity of Excel. So you should be able to select the module or the function from E2Tally Soft and import the masters and vouchers from Excel worksheet into Tally in a few clicks. Shortly, I'm going to give you an overview of the software and actually show you the software with the features and the demo. When to use the software? Whenever you have to automate importing masters or vouchers from Excel to Tally, if you're providing accounting services and you get the data in a digital format, whatever be the format in which the data is available, you can convert that particular data in a structured format into a template which is provided by us. And based on that, you can actually convert that particular data from Excel templates into the standard Tally voucher template and import to Tally in a few clicks. You can also export, this is an additional feature we have provided. You can also export the transactions, which is the masters and the vouchers from Tally to Excel in a few clicks. Let's quickly understand what are the 7 key features of E2Tally Soft. It automates import in bulk or input single entries from Excel to Tally using standard templates. I'll show you the templates a little later. You can import the masters and vouchers of accounting, inventory module, and cost center or bill-wise from Excel worksheets to Tally. You can export the masters or vouchers or reports from Tally to Excel in a structured format for further analysis. You can also automate the documentation because the software automatically locks the activities you've done so that it can be available for future reference. You can generate specific company info, statistics, and index worksheets for documentation. You can also validate the patterns of PAN, TAN, GSTIN, and other standard formats. This is an additional feature which is available in the software. You can export the trial balance as specified, including you can consolidate the trial balance of multiple companies. You can open multiple companies and you can consolidate all these trial balances in one go. And this trial balance comes not only with consolidate, it also comes with the append feature, which means you can drill down and filter the details of specific companies based on specific head of account or chart of accounts you want. Now let's look at how to use E2Tally Soft. Using E2Tally Soft, I said, is very simple. I'll show you practically how to use it. Now, these are the 7 steps. If you see, I'll also walk you through the steps. Open Tally and select the company and the period for which to import the data. Open MS Excel and click on the tab of the E2Tally Soft. And then you download the template of the sample data of the masters, review and adopt it as required. And then you can add your relevant data. Now, for that, there are 2 templates. One is the template with the ready-made data, sample data, and you also got a ready-to-fill template. Then you import the master data of groups, ledgers, and vouchers and review the results. Here also you can use the standard template with standard data, or you can use the fill-in template. Download the sample data of vouchers, and then you import the vouchers. You import the master. So if you look at the broad steps here, first you decide what is the template you want, what is that you want to perform. Based on that, decide to pick the template and fill the data in the template, whether it's the masters or the vouchers, and then you import it. It's a new company, you have to follow all the 7 steps. If it's an existing company where you already have all the masters, in that case, you have to just pick up the relevant templates and you can import the vouchers. Quite often you find the data may not be available in the standard template and it may require extensive time to actually get the data in the required format. In that case, what you could do is you have feature of actually converting the data from any format into the standard Tally voucher format. And that's what I'm going to give you a demo a little later. So what does this all mean to you? Which means you can automate import of masters or transactions from MS Excel to Tally and avoid manual data entry and related errors, which means all the data you want to perform, it's already available in a digital format. For example, let's say a customer of yours is actually selling on Amazon and he's able to download all the transactions of the month or the week or any day in an Excel format. From that Excel format directly, you can convert into a Tally voucher format and import into Tally. Whether there are 10 transactions, 100 transactions, or 1,000 transactions, you can do it in no time. So ultimately, the biggest benefit is you save time and money, and you are able to increase the productivity of your time. So why use E2Tally Soft? If you look at the one-liner, you can automate import of data from Excel to Tally in a few clicks. That's the biggest advantage of using E2Tally Soft. It's an automated solution, as I said, for importing data to or from MS Excel to Tally in a few clicks. When I say importing data, the data could be pertaining to the masters or it could be pertaining to the vouchers. And you can perform further analysis as required. So ultimately, what is the benefit of using E2Tally Soft? You can do more in less time using E2Tally Soft. This is broadly what I wanted to cover in about 10 minutes so that you get a quick perspective of what is E2Tally Soft about, what E2Tally Soft is all about. Now, if you have any questions, you can ask me questions. Else, what we'll do is I'll directly take you to the software and walk you through the software because I want to spend a significant amount of time to give you a perspective of what the software is all about. Let me close the presentation so that we can move forward. Now, first, let me take you to our website. If you go to our website, wincat.com, you'll find we believe in Atma Vishwas se Atmanirbhar. You should be self-sufficient with self-confidence. Now, if you look at the products, we got ECAT Enterprise, ECAT Pro, TCAT, and E2Tally Soft. Tomorrow, I'll be giving a demo of TCAT. Let's come to E2Tally Soft. So if you click on E2Tally Soft, it gives you an overview of what E2Tally Soft is all about. You've already seen this. What are the key issues? What are the key benefits? What is that you can do? You also have details of videos and links of the videos where we can get an idea about how this software actually works. You also have user presentations, which is the live demonstrations of automatic data entry into Tally done by some of our users or presenters. Now, let me quickly show you what is E2Tally Soft all about. Now, as I said, we already talked about problem statement. Why use E2Tally Soft? I've already covered this in detail broadly. How to use E2Tally Soft? I told you the 7 steps. I'm going to walk you through the 7 steps. Now, let's look at the key features. This also I've covered. What are the 7 key features? Now, let's come to the functions. Now, if you see, this is the look and feel of the software. Now, as I said, it's an add-in software. So it means you find when you install the software, it will be available as an add-in tab as E2Tally Soft. And these are all the functions and menus with the panels which are available in the software. Now, if you see, you have the configure panel, profile panel, documents, template, validate, import to Tally, export to Tally, like that. These are all the templates. I'll show you in a short while the software itself and walk you through that. And in each of this, there are specific functions. You also have a PDF document which gives you a complete list of all the functions which are available in the menus as per the panels. For example, in the configure panel, what is available and what is that you can do with this particular function. So if you see here, configure, it displays options to open Tally, create company info, and to perform some of the key functions in the background. You also have configure. In this configure, you can say specifically, open Tally, you have company info, and then you have system info. Similarly, you got profile. What is that information you can get in profiling? In the document panel, what is that you can do? So if you see here, we have given the complete list of all the functions which are available in the software with a brief description so that you get an overall perspective of what you can do through the software. So you can import from Tally. You can also import to Tally. Okay, so if you see here, import to Tally and import from Tally. This is a quick overview we want to give. Another important thing which I want to show you, if you want to look at the recordings of the webinars, you can go to the webinar page on the training tab. If you click here, you'll find all the previous. If you want to register for the webinar, you have the upcoming webinars with the link given here to register. You also have the recorded webinars. If you see here, ECAT Enterprise, ECAT Pro, SoftCat, E2Tally Soft. Here you'll find all the videos of the earlier webinars, latest webinars you can see. You can click and watch the videos. Okay, this quickly what I wanted to cover as per the website is concerned. Let's close this also. Now we are all open to go to the software. Now I've already got a sample data which I would like to convert. Now if you see here, this is the E2Tally Soft. In E2Tally Soft, as I said, you have the configure, profile, documents, templates, validate, import to tally, export to import. This is another new feature we added. Then you also have configure to convert to vouchers, in which you got formats, create, configure and create, and then you have different options for converting various types of vouchers. You can also map the vouchers, and then you can import from tally. These are all the functions which are available. Now let me quickly get started. Now to give you an overall perspective, what are the steps to import the masters or vouchers from tally? Now if you look at here, now we have this general info, which means if you want details, let me open tally. I'm going to open an existing company, or what we'll do is we'll create a new company. Let's say we call it as demo for webinar. I'm going to give Karnataka. Before this, let me check the data which you have, because I want to import the data. Now let's get to the template. Now this is where you got the template. I said you got the template of the masters and the vouchers. Let me open the template of the masters. Now here you got the masters. If you see the modules here, let me open the magnifier. Yeah, now if you see here, I think they should be able to give a better perspective. Now, if you see here in the masters, you can import or you can alter the masters. You got accounting and inventory. If I click the accounting module, I said you got two ways: sample data and ready to fill. Okay, when I say sample data, now if I open this gives me a message. Do you want to open the fresh sample data or do you use one? I want to open a fresh sample data. Now here, let me minimize this. Okay, now if you see here, in this case, what I have is the guidelines on how to use this. Okay, now we have the masters. This is the template of the masters. You have the group name, parent and primary. What is given in red is mandatory. Okay, you can also give a last name, just like what you give in tally. So these are the masters. We are going to import these masters. You got the groups, you got the ledgers. Now in ledgers, you see, you got the ledger name in the parent. You can also give the opening balance with the debit or credit indicator. You also vary other fields. If the data is available, this will be imported. If the data is not available, this will not be imported. So only the data which is mandatory is the ledger name and the parent in the ledgers. Now I have the voucher types. These are the voucher types available. And you also have what is mandatory given in red. Then you have the statistics. This is statistics of the data which is already imported. Now this, as far as the guidelines, this is a standard template which is already available in the software. Now if you come to E2Tally Soft once again, this I told you, if you see here, it's very intuitive. I got the templates. I want to look at the templates. Now I'm going to look at the masters and I want to look at inventory. I just go to click on inventory and I say, I want this data. I say yes. Now just look at the difference between the templates of masters of accounting and inventory. This is the inventory. Now if you see here, in the masters of inventory, we have got the guidelines. In addition to the guidelines, if you see here, group ledger voucher types, for the inventory, you have the unit, go down, stock groups, etc., which have to be imported. So for example, here you see, you start with the units, you have the go downs, you have the stock group, stock categories, stock items, and currencies. These are the data which have to be imported. These are the masters which have to be imported. Now we've got this masters. Now let's look at the masters pertaining to cost center. If I got the cost center, now I want accounting with cost center. I click OK and I say I want to open. Now I find you have this here guidelines. Similarly, you got the masters of accounting, which is the groups, ledger, voucher types. Then in the case of cost category, if you want to add cost category, you need to add the cost category and the cost center. Okay. Similarly, if I want bill wise, let's say I go to the E2Tally Soft. I want bill wise, I go to masters. I say bill wise. I say open. Here also see the same thing. We have got all the guidelines pertaining to how to use bill wise and what are the things which is required. When you got accounting with bill wise, if you see here groups, ledger, voucher types, for bill wise, you have to give the masters. What are the details which are to be provided? You need to have the ledger name, parent, And you also have to give for each of the ledgers whether bill wise is set to on, and you have to give the credit period. These are the masters which are to be created when you want to import bill wise. We also got attendance. As of now, we'll not spend time on attendance. Let's go quickly and show you how to use the software. I've got this masters. Now let me also show you the vouchers. I've got shown you the templates of the masters. If you see here, these are the different templates of accounting and the modules, inventory module. If I take, let's say, inventory, I can also have inventory with cost center. Then you will get additionally, along with the inventory, the cost center or bill wise. So you can comprehensively select what are the masters you want as required. If you already created the masters and you want to alter some of the masters, you can use this feature to alter the masters. Now let's come further. Now let me look at the vouchers. If you look at the vouchers, you see we follow the same pattern here. In the case of vouchers, I have got specific, or I can say all mandatory fields. I've got accounting. When you look at accounting, this will give you the data with the standard, in the standard template with the filled in data. Okay, here also you got the guidelines for importing the vouchers. Then you have the vouchers. This is how the data should be available. Okay, you got the transaction ID, date, ledger name, voucher type, voucher number. For each of the voucher number, you provide the debit and the credit. Now you may say that instead of entering in Excel, I might well enter in Tally. Now it's not necessary that you should provide this data in this particular template. We also have an option, as I said, in convert to vouchers, where I can give the data, all the data in a single row, and that's feature of this particular software of convert to features will convert this data into this particular standard format, and you can import this very quickly within no time. Okay, now let's get started. Similarly, if you want to look at the masters, let me show you with the vouchers. Now let's say I've got this vouchers and I want with inventory. When I go to inventory, now what did I click? I need to click the vouchers. Now I select the inventory. When you select the inventory and you say open, now if you see, these are the guidelines for the vouchers. Now here, if you see inventory vouchers, if you see additionally compared to the accounting, you have the transaction ID, date, ledger name, item name, quantity. You also, these are the details which are pertaining to the inventory, which means you need to have the item name, quantity, UOM, unit of measure, rate or tax rate. You also need to specify where the ledger for the stock items. Okay, this is how the data has to be provided. Okay. Let's close this. Now, similarly, if you come to templates of vouchers, now let's say you want cost center wise, you also get with cost center. If you want with cost center, let's see what are the data which is available. What are the additional information which has to be provided. If you look at the cost center transactions, you see here, you have to provide the cost category, the cost center, the CC debit and the CC credit. Now, let's say I want to go for bill wise. If you want to go for bill wise, if you have data where bill wise data have to be entered, let's say I got this bill wise. For all these, we already provided the templates. Now I get the data. You have the guidelines, specific guidelines are applicable. Then you have the bill wise vouchers. Here also, if you see, in the case of bill wise, I need to provide these details, which is, let's say, just bring it here. Now, if you see here, I have to provide these details, bill type, you have this reference name, bill date, bill credit period, bill due date. Okay, these are standard. The standard details which are provided in bill wise is these fields which are given in red here. Okay, these are details. In addition to that, you have to provide the credit period also. Okay, the bill due date may be computed if you already given the credit period. Right. So now you got a perspective of how the data has to provide in the templates. Okay. Now this is with the filled in data. Suppose you already understood how the data is required. You want to have a template. So in that case, what you can do is you can have a, let's say, a ready to fill template. When you say ready to fill, it will just come with the header, so that you can actually populate the data as required. Now, if you see here, we just given the header, you can add the data as required using this particular format. Okay, now you got an idea. So broadly in this case, if you see, we have got an idea that you have to use the templates. This is the first step. You open Excel, you open Tally. If you see, I already told you about the steps. We have created this company. One of the things I wanted to do was I want to check what are the data for which the vouchers are available. I got this vouchers, and this is from April 19. This is why I was stopping here, because I wanted to be sure about which is the accounting period. So here, when I select the accounting period, I'm going to select first April 19, because this is the period for which I'm going to import the data. So I've created a new company now. This company is available, which is demo for vouchers. Now, if you look at the details, DSS, you find there are default 28 groups, 2 ledgers. There are 24 voucher types which are available in the Tally which I have created. Okay. Now we are going to walk through step by step and see how we can perform these particular steps one by one. Okay. Now our objective is, first I want to give you an idea about how to import the masters, then show you how to import the vouchers, and then we will pick up some demo how to convert from various standard templates into the Tally voucher format. Okay, now let's get started. I've got this Excel data, which is the masters. Now if you see, I've already got the masters, groups, ledgers, and voucher types. Now it's a new company, we have to do this. It's an already existing company. Then when you're importing the vouchers, it does a validation and tell you if the ledgers are not available. Only those ledgers or groups have to be created. Now, first step I'm going to, so if you see, first step is to open Excel. Second step is to open Tally. I've already opened the Tally, and I opened the Tally for the period for which I want to import the data. Okay, now let's come to Excel again. I've got the master sheet. Now, next step I want to do is, I've got the E2Tally Soft. I want to validate. Now I can validate the masters or the vouchers. Now here, I don't have any validation because this is a new company. I'm directly going to go to Import Masters. Now import to Tally masters. Now it automatically recognizes based on the column names that you got 2 sheets, 3 sheets, groups, ledgers, and voucher types. Okay, now you don't have any cost centers, bill wise, attendance. If those columns are there, automatically it would have been ticked. Okay, now I can import one by one, or I can import all of them, but please ensure that first groups have to be imported, only then ledgers have to be imported. Okay, then I have to click OK. Now this will give me a message that this particular company is open. It's advisable to keep only the company which you want to import data open. I say okay. Now you see it actually has created the groups. Now it's importing the ledgers. 2 to 56 ledgers have been imported. Now it's created the voucher types and altered the voucher types. And see, in a few seconds, we already got all the masters imported. Do you want to see the statistics? I say yes. Now if you see, it's added the statistics. Now this is what has been created. 41 groups have been created. Groups 28 have been altered. Ledgers 256 have been created. 2 ledgers have been altered, which are the default ledgers. Voucher types created 2 and altered 23. So it means all the masters have been imported to Tally. Let's just go to Tally and check what has been done. If you see here, we have these groups which have been imported. You got totally 69, 258 ledgers, and then you have the voucher types. Now, if let's say I just want to look at the groups, I click on the groups, I get the complete list of the groups with the hierarchy which has been imported. Now, if I come to the ledgers, I can see the complete list of the ledgers which have been created. Similarly, I can also look at the voucher types. Now, in a few seconds, we have been able to import all the masters. Okay. Now, let's also see, because we had the opening balances. If you look at the ledgers, which we imported, we also, in the ledgers, we also had the opening balances. Okay, now we want to check whether this have been correctly imported. Ensure that the debit and the credit tallies. Okay, now let's come to the balance sheet. Or let's go to the trial balance. Now, if you go to the trial balance, now you see this is the trial balance with all the figures which are, these are all the opening balances. There is some difference in opening balance. I'll show you what is the reason for the difference in opening balance. Now let me come to day book. There won't be anything in the day book because there are no transactions. Now let's come to the balance sheet. Now if you come to the balance sheet, if I say Alt F1, this is what we're getting. Now here also it shows the difference in opening balance. I'll show you where exactly, what is the reason it's showing the difference in opening balance. Okay, let's come to this. If you go to Alt F11, now if you see here, I have given this accounting. with inventory. Now I say it is not with inventory because it's trying to get the data from the inventory module. Now see the difference is gone because that is pertaining to the stock. Now let me go to the profit and loss account. If you look at the profit and loss account, you find the 16,81,000 was the stock in hand, and that's what was being shown as the difference. Now you see we have been able to import the opening balances. 1st April, so we had these opening balances. Now there are some accounts where we had the difference, okay, which means while opening there has been some mistake which has been created, because of which these transactions have been shown. Okay, we'll come to this later. So it means we have been able to import all the masters. Now let's come to the vouchers. Now if I come to the vouchers, let's look at the vouchers. There are 0 vouchers. Okay, now let's do the magic. I would like to close this masters ledgers. I think there's some difference. That 100 rupees is because I have not, the expense has not been created correctly. Okay, now let's close this. Now I have this vouchers. Now let's look at what are the total number of rows available here. Now I got nearly 2,436 rows. Okay. Now we have got various types of voucher types. The sales, we already created this voucher type before importing. All these are the different voucher types which are available. Now if you look at the transaction numbers, so there are totally 916 transactions. Okay. Now if you look at one transaction, this particular transaction, if you see, this is a transaction ID 1. Okay, now we are going to import this. How do we import this? As I said, the process is very simple. I first perform the validate. In this case, I don't have any. I can also do the validation here. Let's see if we can do the validation. I say validate vouchers. Now I can do the validation with the input data or with the tally data. I say with the tally data, it actually goes and checks whether these ledger names are available, whether the debit and the credit tally, like that. It performs various types of validations which are given in the guidelines. It performs all these validations. I say okay. So it gives me what is this one available. It's validating the vouchers. It also gives a message what the type of validation it is doing. Validating voucher type is available. Now it gives you a message. What is the message? Validation summary. It tells you these are the type of validation it did and whether all the records are valid. If the records are not valid, it will create a separate sheet with the list of errors, and with the link it will give you this is the error. Okay. Now we already done the validation. Now let's import. Now when you import also, it's once again going to do the validation. So I come to vouchers, import vouchers. Now we already imported the masters. We are going to import the data. Now by default is actually recognized that this is accounting. There is no cost center or bill wise here. And I say, okay, I can also do the numbering automatically, which means I can auto number. It depends on how I set the voucher numbering in Tally. So I can also set it based on what number I have given. Okay, if you set it to auto, the automatically Tally will give the numbering. If I have given manual, whatever voucher number I've given, the same voucher number will be taken. It gives me a message. Okay, please validate before importing. Click OK to validate. We are validating the ledgers are available in Tally. Now it's importing the vouchers. Let's see 916 vouchers. How much time it will take to import the vouchers? Just imagine there are 916 vouchers to be imported, and each voucher approximately takes about 2 minutes. So it would have taken about 1,800 minutes to actually do the data entry for this. Even if you take an average of 1 minute, it would have taken about 900 minutes. It's about 15 hours. Now you find within a few seconds, we're able to import all these vouchers. Now whether 900 vouchers or there are 5,000 vouchers. Now you see, it's already created the vouchers. This is the magic or the power of automation. Now it also gives you the statistics. What are the type of vouchers which have been imported? You want to save the statistics? I say yes. For the purpose of documentation, I also maintain the statistics of what has been imported. Now we say these vouchers have been imported. Let's go to Tally and cross check whether these have been imported. Now I come back and refresh statistics. Now you see, lo and behold, all the 916 vouchers have been imported. Now if you see here, now you want to check the details, just go inside this and you can check. Now you see all the, now let's see what is the difference between the voucher which is manually entered and which is available here. You find there's no difference. See, all the vouchers would be available here. Okay, now let's go to another voucher type. Let's say I come to journal. Now, because we use using a demo version, that's why we give the date of 1st and 2nd April. If it's a license version, then we can give any date you want. So now let me go to the transaction. Now, if you see here, this is the entry. So there's no difference between the data manually which is entered and the data which is actually imported. Because what we provide is we provide the data to Tally in the format it expects, and the Tally will store it in its own database. And once it takes it as its own, then it's going to perform all the results, the reports, everything what is required. It will be able to perform on the data which has been imported, just like manually it has been entered. Now see, all the data is imported, which means if you see we are able to create the masters, we are able to create the import the vouchers within probably 2 to 3 minutes, but it requires preparation. So what we need to do is before importing, we need to prepare the data. Now here, if you see, this is the payment vouchers. All the payment vouchers are available here, what we have imported. Okay, in the same way, it is manually entered in Tally. Now let's come to the balance sheet and check what happens. Now let's first come to the trial balance. Now if you go to the trial balance, Alt F1 will give the details. You find all the details are available. Okay, similarly, if you want to see the balance sheet, this is the balance sheet. Now you see all the details are available. Now if you want to come to the profit loss account, now if you see all this, which means the details are same, and Tally is able to process this data and provide you the results in the way it is actually manually entered. So the beauty is you should be able to, instead of manually entering each of the transactions, we are able to provide the data in a standard template and import this. So now you got an idea what the process to be followed. Let me just do a quick summary. So for the purpose of importing, what did we do? So first step, as I said, you open Tally, okay, or second, you open Excel. Now in Tally, when you open, you also select the company and select the period for which we want to import the data. Okay, next you come to Excel. In Excel, you have the data in the standard format. How do you get the data? You can use the masters or the voucher and use the templates as applicable. Okay, and then you fill in the data, then you perform the validate masters or the vouchers as applicable. Okay, I was also telling you about some functions. This is not directly relevant here. You can also validate the patterns, like we said, GST and PAN, etc. You can also validate the patterns here. There's an additional function which is available. Now let me come back to the import. So first I said import, open Tally, open Excel. Now decide whether you want to import the masters, get the template, download the masters, add the data. This is the 4th step. Then you go to the vouchers, take the template of the vouchers. That's the 5th step. 6th step, add the data for the vouchers, and 7th step, you validate and import. First the masters and the vouchers. Okay, this is what we have done here. Now there's also another function, interesting function we added recently, which is export to import. For example, the client has got the data. He doesn't want to share the Tally data, but he's able to give the data to you in a XML format. So this is where we added this feature. You can export the existing data. You can ask your client to export this particular data in XML or XLS format. And this data, the client shares it to you. Then you can import this XML or XLS data directly and create your own company and then do the audit as required. Now let's come to the most important part, which I want to spend next 20 minutes on this. Okay, now just like I said, one of the important thing is now I don't have the time or the patience to enter all the transactions in this way. Instead of that, I'd like to just give the transaction in one row, and I expect Tally to be able to, or software to be able to take care of this. This way we added the feature called convert to vouchers. Now let me pick up one by one. So here, if you see, we've got the sales returns, purchase returns, services, bank statement, receipt payment, and salaries. So let me get started with the bank statement. Okay, let me pick up the format here first. I got this format. If you see here, sales, sales return, purchases. We have the sample data. In all these cases, we provided you sample data so that your life is very simple. Okay, now I'm going to pick up first the bank statement, because this one which is most often used. Okay, the bank statement is a little unique compared to the other conversion. Now in the bank statement, you have got two standard templates. One is the single amount column. Second, the amount is given as debit and credit. So I'm going to pick up one format, which is a single amount column. Now there is a standard template already available here. I got this data here also. If you see here, we have got the guidelines. Now we have the sample data. Now this is the format except this particular column here, which we added. Okay, this is the standard format. If you download this in Excel, where the debit and credit is given in a single column. Now if you see here, there is a credit and debit and the amount is given in a single column. Okay, now if you see here, these are the transactions. For the purpose of importing, we are given the mandatory data. Now in the case of the bank transactions, it's either a receipt or a payment. Okay, now the corresponding ledger also, what you could do is you can add the corresponding ledger, and if you already know, you can add the corresponding ledger here one by one based on what you know. So it means all the transactions, the client comes to you and says, I have the bank statement, or you get the bank statement in Excel format like this. This could be for whatever period, 1 year or 1 month, whatever the period, and you find that you can convert this in no time. So I'm going to use E2Tally Soft to convert this into a Tally voucher format. I come to E2Tally Soft, this standard format I've got. Okay. Now here, I'm going to use the bank statement. I click on the bank statement. It opens this particular information. I can connect to Tally and add the data. I'm not going to connect to Tally. I'll just give the name, let's say, as ICICI Bank, because I just want to give a demo of how this works. Next, I have to select the column heading. Now I select this one, only one single cell. Automatically, we have built in the intuition here. It automatically reads the last row and tells you this 341 is the last row, because sometimes you may have blank rows and that creates a problem. In that case, you have to remove the blank. This one, okay. We can also convert it as an optional voucher. This is a new feature we added, which means once you convert it, be maintained as an optional voucher. Let's say the staff does this conversion, and the principal or the manager can actually verify this and mark it as a valid voucher. Now here I can select in two ways. I can enter the corresponding ledger. Let's say all the transactions. I don't know what the corresponding ledger. First, I want to import. I can also give a specific name. Let's say suspense account. I'm going to just give this as, let's say, suspense account. Okay, and then by default, it's already picked up the transaction date, the instrument number, the valuation date, the narration. It's also picked up the credit debit and the tax amount. Okay, next, I can also give additional details, which means I want to add, let's say, the bill-wise details for this. I can also add the bill-wise details for the cost center details. I'm not doing that here. And next step, I have to just say convert the data. So this will convert and show you the graphic analysis, how it has been converted. Now it gives you the raw format in which the data is available. It gives you the corresponding ledger name. It gives you the narration, voucher type. All the details are given. Let's look at the statistics. If you look at the statistics, it tells me what the date for which the data is available. Now I come to the next important step, which is preview vouchers. When I say preview vouchers, this is where it shows the data after conversion. Now, if you see the first transaction is the receipt, ICICI Bank, and credit is a suspense account. Again, ICICI Bank to suspense account. So it's a receipt. It also marks that as an e-fund transfer based on the narration. It reads whether it's an e-fund transfer or a contra entry. It's able to pick up the details. Okay, it's not able to pick up the details. We'll mark it as others. Now, this is the data I have got. I can also validate this data. Okay, when I say validate, mandatory, it also gives a message, mandatory and totals are valid. Now, I have to save this. When I save this, now it exports the data to Excel format, and that's what I said. This is the data which has been exported. Now, this is the data which is ready to import. Now, if you see here, all the transactions are available. I have the transaction ID, date, ledger name, voucher type. This is the data which I can import into Tally. So how do I import to Tally? I go to import to Tally vouchers. And if all these masters are available, I can import this in no time. So it means that all the transactions from the bank statement, I have been able to convert and import it in no time. Now, let me say, I would like to look at one more example. Let me close the sheets which are not required. I would like to pick up another case where we had the two columns in the banks. Now, what do? I go to the format. I'm just using format because this is a standard format available. I come to the bank statement. Here, I'm going to pick up the debit and credit column, and I say open. This opens the standard data. I have the sample data. Now, if you see here in this case, it's given us withdrawals and deposits. Now I'm going to use the software to do the conversion. I come to the bank statement. I give the name of the bank. Let's say this time I got a HDFC Bank. Okay, now I select the column heading, which means I go here and select column heading. Single cell, automatically it identifies which is the last row. I said yes. Now this time, what I'm going to do is I'm going to select the column. I'm going to select the corresponding ledger also. I selected the corresponding ledger. So just check whether the transaction date and this one, by default, it checks if the data is valid in the right format. Quite often, you may find that data is not in the right format. Check whether the data is in the right format. So here I've got most of the data is already selected. Then I have to say convert data. Now you see how the data gets converted. I'm seeing the statistics. I can see the field data here. Now I say preview vouchers. Now preview vouchers, if you see here, automatically their corresponding ledger has been added and able to see the debit and credit for each of the transactions. Now I say save this. Data has been exported. Now you see this is what you got for each of the transactions. I already have got the name, the corresponding ledger. Now this is the data which is ready to import. How do I import? I go to open that particular company, open import to vouchers. I can import these transactions in no time. So this is what I gave you a quick demo of how you can convert the bank statement and import into Tally. Now let's look at one more example here. In this case, I have got the sales data. Okay, now first understand the data and put it in a standard template. Okay, now if you see here, I have got the serial number. There should be unique serial number for each of the rows. Okay, you have the party name. Now in this case, sales, this is the debit party name. Okay, you got the voucher type. They got different voucher types here. You got the invoice number. Now, if you have, you can decide whether the voucher number is going to be this serial number, or if this number is in uniform order, you can also give this in the invoice number. And in this case, if you see, there are multiple transactions which are happening with the same invoice number. Okay, so this invoice number is given in a different way. So in this case, it's better that you use for the purpose of conversion, you can use the serial number for conversion. Okay, I got the gross sales, I got the CGST, SGST, other charges, and total sales. Okay. I can also cross check whether the total sales. Now, if you see here, now this is the total. Okay, this total, let's say 6123508.2. This should be the total which is tallying. So now I found this is tallying, but this seems to be 20 paisa difference. Let's see the difference, it will find out. Okay, 0.2 here. If I select this 0.2 is not available. Okay, let's go ahead and convert and see what will happen. I've got this particular data. Now, how do I convert this into a Tally voucher format? I come to E2Tally Soft. Okay, now I pick up the sales. This is sales. I come to sales. Now there are two ways you can do. One is by connecting to Tally. Second is by not connecting to Tally. Okay, when you connect to Tally, I'll show you the difference. Now let's say this is the ABC company. I can connect to Tally, which means when I connect to Tally, I can directly pick up the company name from the list of the companies opened, and I suggested open only one company. Okay, I got the date column, I got the voucher number. So I said voucher number, I'm going to pick up the serial number. Narration, in this case, I don't want to give any narration. Voucher type, I select the voucher type here. Okay, now here, the beauty of this is you can select the party name, which is the party name here. Automatically, it says debit amount will be computed automatically. Then I go to next. Now it means debit has been selected. I need to select the credit. Now here, when I connect to Tally, I can directly give the ledger name directly from Tally here. Because I'm not connected to Tally here, I'm going to select the header as the ledger name. Here I'm going to select first the gross sales, which is the sales. Next, I'm going to select the IGST. I don't have any IGST. So in that case, I can remove this. Do you have IGST? Let's cross check. No, we don't have any IGST. Now let's come to the next one, which is the CGST. I just give C. Now see, by default, it picks up that information. Now here, I have to select the SGST. I select the SGST. In addition to that, we have something called the other charges. Let's pick up the other charges. These are the other charges. These are all the credit. This is what I've done. So it means I've selected the other ledgers. Now I forgot additional ledgers. I got one more option. I can add other than this. I have other thing. Let's say packing charges, courier charges, like that. I can have additional ledgers. I can also add the additional ledgers compared to what I got. If there's a discount column, I can also add the discount column. I'll show you the discount in other data. So now I say convert data. Now this should be able to convert. Now I get this information of what has been converted. Let's look at the statistics. It gives me an overview of the data which has been converted. What is the sum of debit? What is the sum of credit? The IGST, SGST, etc. Now I want to preview the vouchers. When I preview the vouchers, now you see the magic. It's actually converted all these transactions. It tells you the party's name is to be debited. The credit is to gross sales, CGST, SGST. Now, should it be gross sales? Now in Tally, let's say you've given it as GST sales. Just change the header name to GST sales or whatever is available in Tally, or you can connect to Tally and directly pick the ledger. Based on this, automatically and dynamically, these particular columns will be computed and added. Now, how do I import? First, I save this. Okay, this is how I can convert. Now, if you see here, I save this. Now, this is the voucher which has been created. Okay, and this is what I can import. It also gives me statistics of what has been imported. Okay, this is how I can convert a sales. Similarly, let's say in this case, second voucher, I have got this ledger names. Now, this is the expenses which has been incurred. Okay, these are all the ledger names. So this will be coming under this like purchases. Okay, I can use the purchase option here. This is gross expenses. Just get an idea about this. Now let's understand the table name. I got the date, supplier name, voucher type, expense, invoice number, all the details are given. Let me minimize. Now I got this data. So it's very important that you should know what is to be debited, what is to be credited. Here you know gross expense 22,498. Okay, the total expense is 22,498. In this case, I got the 66,500, and this is the discount which has been allowed. Okay, now I've got this minus. So minus is not required. So what I do is I remove the minus from here, because automatically I'm going to take that as a minus. I'm going to deduct. So it's not been able to deduct the minus. Okay, let's look at how many are there. Let's filter and check. Okay, let's take with the minus to see what will happen. I've got this expenses. Now I'm going to take this under purchases. Now in purchase, once again, see all of them follow the same pattern. Let's say I call it ABC company. Okay, date, voucher number. I select the voucher number, which is the number. Okay, narration. I can give the narration. Do you have any narration here? I don't have any narration. If I want, I can add the narration. Voucher type. Voucher type is given here. I select the voucher type. Okay, and then party name credit, which is the account we have called it supplier name. Here I select the supplier name, and next I go to the next one, which is here. I select the purchase, which is the expense name. Here I pick up the gross expenses. Okay, next I pick up the other expenses one by one. What other expense I had? I had the CGST. Then we had the SGST. Okay, sorry, there is no IGST. Now here I go and select the CGST. Okay, so here let's bring it. Okay, CGST. Now I'm going to select the SGST. Okay, and then we had the discount received. I'm just going to select the discount column. Let's see, I may face some issues because of the minus. Okay, so that's why get the data in the right format before importing. I say convert data. Now let's look at the statistics. So I've got the statistics. Now let's say I've also got the discount. Now let's say preview vouchers. Okay, in this case, if you see, I got the drive track plus gross expenses because I've given the name as gross expenses. Now I can go and give the head of account exactly in the way I want. Okay, in that case, it will come exactly in the same name. Okay, so it has created the transactions for all this. Let's see what happens to the discount. Now, if the discount, there is an issue in discount. No, I think we are not selected correctly because we don't have the, okay, we got this one, discount gross expenses. Let's save this and see what happens. Now it has created, let's say, purchase expenses. Now if you see here, the debit, the credit to the party and this expense, I can give the name. Actually, I should have given the name. I think made a mistake here. That's why it has taken this way. Okay. Yeah, there is a small mistake. I'll see. So now here, see, there's a problem. It has taken as minus. Now, when you're importing to Tally, this will create a problem because minus in Tally is considered as debit. So this will not be imported correctly. Okay. And also, if you see this, actually, this particular transaction should have come here on the debit side. So we have updated this in our software now, so that automatically when you give the data, you ensure the data is correctly given, and this will be automatically correctly computed. Now let's come back to this particular data and check what has gone wrong. Now I got this particular data. So in this case, the data is given as minus. That's why we had this issue. So we need to rectify this data, and based on that, we can import it again. Okay, here I had given this as the gross expense. That's why it has taken the gross expenses in the name what has been given. This is the amount. I think we didn't select the ledger correctly. Supplier name. So what is to be credited? Credited is automatically computed. We got this expenses here. Yes, we had to select this diesel, this ledger name as the gross expense. Now we know where the mistake is. Now let's come back again and do this. Now it's very important that you select the right head of account. Now I'm just going to do this quickly. I select the ABC company. Okay, date, voucher number. I'm going to give the voucher number. Okay, now I'm going to give the voucher type. Yeah, party name credit. Now I got the supplier name. This is clear. Up to this, I think we did correctly. We come next. Now here I'm going to select the purchases. In this purchases, we have, let's look at the purchases here. Header, I selected header as the column name. Now instead of this, what should happen? In the case of the purchases, I think here column with the ledger name. Here I have to select the, now if you come to this particular details here. Now that's why I said you need to be very clear about what is the this one you're taking. Now in this case, what is the expense you're going to take? You have to take the ledger name here. Okay, this is the name where you got, because this has got multiple names. Okay, select the ledger name, and here I have to select the amount. Where is the amount coming? This is the gross expenses. All right, this is clear. Next, now let's go to the next one, which is the CGST. In the case of CGST, we don't have an issue. Directly, we can take the CGST, SGST here. Now, I don't have the IGST. Here, I'm going to take the CGST. Here, I'm going to select the SGST. Okay, and next we have the discount, which I'm going to select from here. Okay, now you see how the data will get converted. Now you see, let's come to the statistics. Now let's look at the preview of the vouchers. Now if you see here, drive tag, this is the expenses which is debited. And after that, I don't have the CGST because in the sum of the transactions, I don't have the CGST. Wherever CGST is applicable, it would have been taken. Okay, it looks like we have not selected the column name. That's why we not got the data. Let's save here. So you need to just test it and check whether the results are correct. And based on that, you can actually do the conversion. Okay, so here it looks like I have not done the correction correctly. The selection correctly, column name was not selected. That's why we don't have the SGST, CGST. So you just try it once or twice and then you will get the data correctly. Okay, so this is how you can do the conversion. Now what we had is, now if you look at the data, we already converted the data pertaining to, let me stop sharing. So now based on this, you got an idea how you can actually convert the data. I just gave you a simple example of how to convert the sales and the expense vouchers. Like that, there are multiple vouchers which you can convert. I hope you got a quick idea about how you can use the software. So thank you very much for joining this webinar, and we hope to see you in the future webinars. Bye. Namaste.